Run your hand over the top of your head, right there at the part, right where you set the comb down every morning. You feel how the scalp shows through now in a way it did not used to. You have seen it in the bathroom mirror under that hard light, the way the crown has gone thin and the ends look like they gave up somewhere around your shoulders. Maybe you have a drawer with 3 or 4 bottles in it, the growth oil, the little serum, the gummies you took faithfully for 2 months, and your hand still finds that thin place at the part. I want you to sit with me a little while, because I am the same age as you, and I have that part too. My name is Janet, and I have spent a long life around black women and their hair. The kitchen, the porch, the beauty shop on a Saturday, my grandmother's dresser with the jar on it. And today I am handing you something that costs about as much as a sandwich, 2 things you already have or can grab for a couple of dollars, and I will tell you the honest truth about what they do and what they do not. No dressing it up. By the time we are done, you will know why your crown looks the way it does, and how the old women kept theirs full into their 70s without a single bottle from that drawer. The 2 things are avocado and petroleum jelly, plain Vaseline out of the blue jar. That is it. That is the whole front end of this. Now take a walk back with me to where I learned it, because I did not come up with this. My grandmother did this on my head at the kitchen table when I was a girl, and I did not know I was watching the whole answer. She kept a ripe avocado on the windowsill until it gave a little under her thumb, and on a Sunday before church she would mash it up in a bowl with a fork, real slow, until it was like a green pudding. She would put it through my hair and cover it with a plastic bag and one of my granddaddy's socks over that, and she would tell me to go sit. And on that same dresser she had the blue jar of Vaseline, the one every black household in America had. And after she washed the avocado out, she would take the littlest dab of that jelly, warm it between her hands, and smooth it down the ends of my braids, just the tips. And my hair, child, my hair held on. It kept the length the girls down the street were losing every winter. Now hear me before we go one step further. Avocado and Vaseline do not grow hair. I need you to sit with that at the top and not at the end. There is nothing in a jar of petroleum jelly, and nothing in an avocado that reaches down into a dead follicle and wakes it up. If your edge has been slick and bald and shiny for 10 years, if there is scar there, no kitchen thing is bringing it back. And if some video out here is promising you a $6 mask will raise a scarred edge from the dead, close it out. That woman is selling you a dream she cannot deliver, and I think too much of you to do the same. Here is what they do, and it is the thing that actually matters. Your hair is already growing. Right now, today, the follicles on your head are pushing out about half an inch a month, and they have been your whole life. That is about the pace for near about all of us, growing on quietly, whether you spend a dime or not, adding up to some 6 inches over a year. So sit with the real question. If your head makes 6 inches of hair a year, where is it going? Why is your crown thin and your end short? Because down at the bottom it is snapping off just as quick as the root pushes new hair out up top. Your head has never quit growing hair. It is only failing to hold on to it. And avocado and Vaseline are 2 of the best cheap things on this earth for helping it hold. And sitting right next to that truth is a lie I want to name for you. Your hair grows at the pace it grows. That is the number, honey, for most every head. So when a bottle promises to grow your hair 3 times faster, waist length by summer, understand what is really in that bottle. Hair cannot be rushed like that, and everybody in that lab knows it. What they are selling you is hope, and hope carries a markup. $40, $90, the little dropper bottle of mostly water and a smell. And here is the part that will make you laugh so you do not cry. That blue jar of Vaseline, that same petroleum jelly, was the base of the very first hair grower ever sold to black women in this country. Madam C.J. Walker built her whole empire on it back in 1906. Petroleum jelly and a little sulfur and some coconut oil, and that recipe was already 100 years old when she bottled it. 100 years later, they took the same petroleum jelly, put it in a small, pretty jar, called it a growth butter, and asked you for $30. You already own it. It is $1 and some change at the drugstore. And do not go picturing a boardroom of people plotting against you, because that is not how it happened. It is duller and sadder than a scheme. The dear little jar rings up money in a register, and teaching a woman to keep the hair she already grows rings up money in nobody's, so the cheap old knowing just stopped getting handed down. Now, I do not want you thinking every last thing out of a cupboard is a miracle, and every last thing off a store shelf is a con. A woman who talks like that is just a salesman pointing you the other direction. So here are the kitchen tricks I want you to skip, the ones that do nothing or do harm. That trick of packing Vaseline all over your scalp to feed the roots. Do not do that. A follicle cannot eat petroleum jelly. There is no food in it at all. And piled thick on the scalp, it only smothers, sitting there catching lint and dead skin until your scalp is gunked up and itching and flaking. The jelly belongs on the ends and down the length of the hair, never slathered on the scalp, and that old belief that a cold water rinse makes your hair grow. A cool rinse is nice. It smooths the hair down so it shines, but it is not growing anything. So do not stand there shivering thinking you are watering a plant. And that egg and mayonnaise mask your cousin swears by. It is fine. It will condition your hair, but it is no miracle, and it will cook and stink if you rinse it warm. So here is how you do it, the way my grandmother gave it to me, in order, so you can follow it standing in your own kitchen. Start with the avocado, and start with clean hair. Shampoo first, because this deep treatment needs to go onto clean hair, not on top of a week of product. Take one ripe avocado, soft to the thumb. Cut it, spoon the green out into a bowl, and mash it with a fork until there are no lumps left, or run it through a blender if you have one. Lumps will dry in your hair and drive you crazy on the rinse out, so mash it smooth or strain it through an old stocking. Into that, work in about 2 tablespoons of a good conditioner, whatever you already use, and a tablespoon of oil if you have it. Olive oil or avocado oil. Either is fine. Loosen it with a little water until it spreads like a soft cream. Then work it through damp hair from the mid-length down to the ends where you need it most, and coat every strand. Cover it with a plastic cap, and if you want the old way, tie a scarf over that to hold your warmth in. Leave it a good 20 to 30 minutes. Then rinse it out with cool water and follow with your leave-in. That mask you do once a week or once every 2 weeks if your hair is on the drier side. That is the avocado. That is the feed. Now the seal, and this is where the Vaseline earns its place. After your wash, on damp hair, after your leave-in, you take a dab of plain petroleum jelly no bigger than a pea, warm it between your palms until it goes thin and almost clear, and then smooth it right down the length of your hair to the very tips. The ends, now, hear me. Not the roots, not the scalp, not the crown, just a whisper of it on the part that has hung there the longest and gone the most thirsty. That is the lid on the pot. You can do that little seal every few days between washes, whenever your ends feel dry. And because petroleum is heavy and it does not just rinse away like a light oil, every few weeks you give your hair a real clarifying wash to take all of it back off and start clean. That is the whole method. A weekly feed and a light seal on the tips. Pennies. And you give it about 6 weeks before you go looking for a difference, because you are not growing anything faster, you are catching the length that was breaking off before, and that takes a beat to show. As for why the two of them work, I will keep it to kitchen talk, no lab coats. The avocado is food for the hair. The good fat and the vitamins soak down into the strand the way oil soaks into dry wood, and a strand that is soft and fed will bend and give when you comb it instead of snapping in two. The Vaseline is a seal, a lid. Water is what keeps your hair soft, and the second your hair dries out at the very tips, it goes brittle and it breaks. The jelly locks that water in, like wrapping the tender tips up warm against a hard winter so they do not crack. The avocado puts the good back in, and the seal holds it there so it cannot run out on you. Feed it, then seal in what you fed. That is the whole of it. But I would be doing you wrong to let you think two kitchen things are the whole answer. The avocado and the jar are the easy part, the quick comfort. The real reason those old women kept a full head into old age was not one magic recipe. It was the whole way they handled their hair every day, and that is the part nobody sells you because there is no bottle for it. So here is that part too, because this is where your crown actually gets saved. It starts with your hands. The number one thing breaking black women's hair has nothing to do with which product you bought. It is rough handling, ripping a comb from the root down through a dry tangle. You detangle from the ends up, never the roots down, on wet hair that is slick with conditioner, with a wide tooth comb, or just your fingers, and you go slow, the way you would work a knot out of a baby's shoelace instead of yanking it. Every tangle you tear through is length on your bathroom floor. I think about the old beautician who did heads in her front room when I was coming up, Miss Ruthie. She had a way with a comb that I have never forgotten, patient, almost tender, parting a little at a time and easing the tangle loose from the bottom with her fingers before the comb ever touched it. She would talk to you the whole time, never in a hurry, and you would get up out of that chair with every hair still on your head. Now I watch young women snatch a brush through dry hair in 30 seconds flat, and I want to reach through the screen and take their hand. That is the whole difference between a woman whose hair thins and one whose hair holds, and it costs nothing. It is only patience. That same gentleness has to carry over to the sink because how you wash matters just as much as how you comb. So many of us were taught to scrub our hair squeaky clean with a harsh shampoo, and all that does is strip out the very oil your hair needs to stay soft. You do not need to wash black hair every day or even close to it. Once a week, sometimes once every 2 weeks, with a gentle shampoo, and you condition every single time. Let your scalp's own oil do its job. You guard the ends because they have hung on your head the longest, drying and rubbing against your collar for years, and they are the first to give out. And I know nobody wants to hear this one, but a real trim, a small honest trim when the ends get thin and split, stops that split from running on up the strand like a run in a stocking and costing you far more. Cutting a raggedy half-inch stings, I know it does, but it protects the 6 good inches sitting above it that would have gone next. And all of that daytime care, you can undo every bit of it while you sleep if you lay your head down wrong, so you cover it at night. This one is not optional, and it is the cheapest thing on the whole list, a satin bonnet or a satin pillowcase. Cotton works against you all night long, wicking the moisture back out of your hair and dragging on every strand each time you turn over. Satin lets your hair slide instead. My grandmother slept in a scarf her whole life, and so did every woman in that church, and they were not doing it for fashion. You keep your hair stretched, not shrunk up tight and tangling on itself. When black hair is left loose and dry, it curls back on itself and ties little knots, single strand knots, and those knots are breakage waiting to happen. Braid it up at night, Twisted, gently stretched, it tangles far less and it holds its length. My grandmother braided my hair down every night of my childhood, and I thought it was just her keeping me tidy. She was saving my length, is what she was doing. But there is one habit that does more quiet damage than rough combing and cotton put together, and this is the hard one, because it looks so neat while it is happening. The tight styles. Think of the braids put in so tight your scalp stings for 2 days after, or the ponytail snatched back the very same way every morning for 20 years, or those edges gelled and brushed down flat and hard until the fine little hairs along there simply gave up and stopped coming back. That kind of steady pulling, year after year, is where a great many of our thin crowns and bare edges truly come from, and no avocado on this earth fixes what a tight style is still doing to you every single day. So ease up on them, loosen the styles, and give those edges a good long rest. Last piece is the plate, and I will not preach, but it is real. The follicle is fed by your blood, so it is fed by what you eat. Water first, plenty of it. Then the greens, the fish, the beans, and the eggs, the protein your hair is literally built out of. You can grease the outside all you want, but a follicle starved on the inside makes weak hair. Feed the woman and you feed the hair. Now, on top of all that, there are one or two more little old ways worth adding if you have the time, and I will keep them short. There is castor oil, the thick, sticky kind, or the Jamaican black castor our mothers swore by. 2 or 3 evenings a week, dip a fingertip in it and work it into your scalp in slow little circles for a few minutes. The oil is a comfort, and working your fingers in like that wakes the scalp up and gets it warm, and the women who keep at it faithfully swear their edges filled back in. Castor oil is the one you can bring near the scalp, not the Vaseline. Vaseline seals the ends, castor oil and the massage tend the scalp. Now the safety, because I love you enough to draw the line honestly. Everything I told you is for ordinary thinning, the slow going of the crown, the breakage, the dryness, the tight styles catching up with you. That, the kitchen handles. But if your hair is coming out in patches, if you see a bald round spot appear fast, if your scalp is sore or scabbed or the hairline is scarring up shiny and smooth, that is not a kitchen problem, and I do not want you rubbing avocado on something that needs a doctor. Go and be seen, and find a doctor who truly pays attention to black hair and black scalps, one who will not glance at your head for 2 minutes and send you on home. Too many of us have walked out of that office with a real worry still unheard, and that is its own kind of harm. There are good ones who know our hair. Hold out for that one. The kitchen keeps a healthy head healthy. It does not fix a sickness, and I would never tell you it did. One more thing about that drawer of bottles, and I say it gently because I have bought them too. There is a whole industry that makes its living on the thin place at your part. It watches you find it in the mirror, and it sells you the fear right back, promises you a miracle in a dropper, and it knows that no bottle on that shelf ever moved a follicle one bit faster than the good Lord already does. It sold your mother the relaxer that burned her edges thin and called it beauty. It took the petroleum jelly out of your own cabinet, the same one Madam Walker was selling in 1906, and it charged you $30 for it in a nicer jar. None of it was a plot in a back room. It is just that there has never been a dollar in telling a black woman the truth, which is that she was already growing all the hair she needed and only wanted to be taught how to keep it, so nobody taught her. That is the whole sorrowful thing. So here it all is, laid out in one place, plain, the way I would set it down for my own baby sister if she were sitting right here. Once a week, a mashed avocado with a little conditioner and oil on clean damp hair, 20 to 30 minutes, rinsed cool. A pea of warmed Vaseline smoothed on the ends and length after every wash, never the scalp. clarified off every few weeks. Gentle hands, detangle from the ends up on wet hair, wash less, condition always, trim the raggedy ends before they climb, satin on your head every single night. Keep it stretched and braided so it stops knotting on itself. Loosen the tight styles that are thinning your crown. Water and greens and protein on the plate, and a little castor oil massaged into the scalp when you have the evening for it. That is the whole of it, baby. That is how a full crown was kept, long before anybody bottled it and sold it back. None of this was ever lost because it stopped working. It worked the whole time. It was lost because there was no money in it, so it slipped out of the passing down, one busy generation at a time, until a whole lot of us grew up without ever being shown it. Your body never once stopped making the hair. It kept right on, month after faithful month, all these years of your life. You were just never handed the small, patient, unglamorous way of keeping it on your head. Well, now you have been. A soft avocado on the windowsill, and a blue jar you already own, and the hands to be gentle with yourself. It was in the kitchen the entire time. Now do one thing for me down in the comments before you click away, because I am nosy and I like knowing I am in good company. Tell me the name of the growth serum or the miracle oil you once bought on pure faith that never grew you a single inch. Go on and say it out loud. It does the heart good to laugh about it together. And if you are one of the women who never stopped believing the old ways worked, the ones your grandmother did at the kitchen table before anybody put a price on them, then you belong right here with me. This whole channel is us, the black women who kept the real knowledge and are done funding the fear they sold us. Subscribe and keep your seat here among us so the next piece of what was always ours finds its way back to you the way it should have all along. And be gentle with your head this week and gentle with yourself. That thin place at your part was never you failing at anything. It was only the tending that got lost along the way, and now you have it back in your own two hands.